Now that we have both the compression post and the backing plate securely in place within our salon, we can now finally close up the back portion of the settee. It's been just about a year since we initially built out the furniture here. And even though we went through the task of fairing and even priming the portions we could, this area has more or less been at a standstill until we could move on to this next step. Now that it was time to begin on this project again, Matt had to fill the 2.3 meter space by piecing together sheets of our foam core fiberglass. Before they could be fastened together, though, the surfaces needed to be sanded and prepped. Then, while on a flat surface, thickened resin was applied to the edges for the initial bond, before later being fiberglassed together.
The aluminum compression post is finally done. It is bolted in place, it is bonded, it has a backing plate on it. Step whatever number is done. Flanges are bonded in. Now I can put the backrest into place. But before I do that, if you remember the way that this is going to be laid out, the batteries are going to be in this area, so in the main part of the settee, and then in the corner back here is where the battery charger inverter is going to go. The charger inverter generates a lot of heat, so we need to make sure that we get proper airflow through this. One of the ways we're going to do that is there's going to be an intake in the front of the settee here going through the battery bank. Again, these are lithium iron phosphate, so we don't have to worry about fumes coming off of those, but it's just a good idea to get cool air running across them. So we'll have that. That's going to feed in through where the batteries are into the charger area. And what we're going to do is right through the top here, so the charger goes into this area. It's going to be against the back. Airflow is going to go through the battery bank, and these are lithium iron phosphate batteries, so they don't produce fumes like we do with a regular lead acid bank, so we don't have to worry about that. Then it's going to go through holes in between this little bulkhead. There's a bulkhead right here, goes into where our charger inverter is going to be. And we have the back of that leads into our closet area.
The hanging closet.
The hanging closet. Well, I don't necessarily want that to be the only place that air is vented through, of course, because we're going to have coats in there, all that kind of stuff that could block passage a little bit. What we're doing is I'm going to drill holes through where the backrest is for the charger inverter. Going to have that, and then up through the top. And at the top, along this strip here, is going to be open. So this is going to be kind of like a chimney to this area. When the air flows through here, it should then push it out up here. That's the idea. We'll see exactly how well that works, but I got to imagine that's going to be a good flow path for it. And again, it's going to have in the front of the doors, in the hanging locker, it'll have ventilation in there as well, so that shouldn't be a problem either. But through this area, hopefully majority of the heat is going to come out, and we're also going to have fans on that will be on a thermostat. So when the charger inverter is running hard, when we have the induction cooktop running, something like that, we really need to sit there and use some power. It generates a lot of heat. That will flip on and then help push this air out through here. So what I'm going to do right now is drill 4 holes through this, get that open up for us. And then when I mold the top piece, I will have a raised little vent along the top there. And we're raising that up, so in case we do leave one of these hatches open, water, of course, can get into this area down here. That's going to end up flowing left to right, but it won't be able to go up and over that ridge and down into here. And if you see the distance from where that first hatch is to this, we shouldn't have any issues with that whatsoever. And then the third thing with that is the charger inverter will not be directly below that. So if water were to drip down here, it's going to go down into the bilge, run down this way, and it won't actually run on top of the charger inverter. So trying to keep it as safe as possible. it's got 4 generous holes through here now. Should be good. Again, we got to put some vent holes on this area, and then I got to cut out this whole back area for where the inverter charger is going to go. So a lot more cutting to do, but at least in this part, I can get this bonded in, and we can start fairing out the settee.
With the flanges securely in place, being adhered by thickened resin, that same structural putty from TotalBoat was now being applied to the face of the flanges through a baker's piping bag. This is just to get a general portion of resin on the area before it is smoothed out. Like a fish on land. Taking one of our plastic spatulas, Matt spreads out the thickened resin to cover the entire surface of the flange. And in the areas where it's gone on too thick, he's able to take the extra and cover an area he didn't get to with the piping bag. Now that all the flanges are covered, the full 7.5 feet of the seat back can be put into place. At the starboard end, you'll notice a slight gap, but that's going to get filled in. Cleats are being drilled into the base of the settee to hold the seat back firmly in place against the flanges until the resin cures. Then, a small strip of our foam gets buttered up to fill the gap at the end. I guess it needs a lot. With another cleat screwed into the neighboring seat back and a wedge, Matt is able to get the small piece to stay taut and flush with the rest of the seat back. Take it too far now, dwell in the sand like a fish on land, but I'm deep, deep down on the bottom of the well. I don't belong, can't you tell? This place must The next day, after the resin had cured and the seat back was firmly in its place, it was time to glass it in. This is still one of the things we love about building this next cruise, is because by fiberglassing all of the furniture into place, it then becomes structural, binding all pieces together and adding to the overall strength of this vessel. Because this is a structural piece, we're adding 2 sheets of our 12-ounce double-biased fiberglass. Spreading them out a little so they're not laying 100% on top of each other, this helps to create a transition in the added strength here, and not leave hard spots where an extremely rigid area could be sitting next to a spot with no extra support at all. At first we debated if peel ply was even necessary in these spots, since most of the time this area will be covered by cushions and you won't be able to see the surface anyway, so it doesn't need to be perfect. Do you know who you're talking to? I have faired all of my cabinets to perfection. Of course the seat back needs to look pristine, even though it will never be seen by anyone. There could be a moment somewhere in the future where a cushion is off while a third party is over and they might happen to glimpse it. I'm just kidding. We do all of these perfect touches for ourselves and no one else. And I want to say it's because we don't take shortcuts, but honestly, the peel ply is kind of a shortcut, helping us with a smoother and more polished finish of the fiberglass. So really, it just cuts down on fairing in the future. It feels so nice to be at the stage of installing the seat back. not only because we've been waiting so long to get here, but it's also one more visual reminder of the finished product and what we're working towards. Matt and I can say, hands down, this will be our most used area of the boat. And as we're sitting here in the middle of winter, it's pretty nice to think about enjoying our morning coffee in this spot on any lazy day, because it doesn't have to be a Sunday. Bobbing at anchor with the doors and windows open and the beautiful blue sea right at our doorstep.
All glassed in, and time for the first layer of fairing compound.
Unfortunately, we were not able to progress any further in our salon. We have come to a standstill working in there, and it's not because of the snow, although to be honest, tomorrow's high is going to top out at 25, so I am definitely going to use that time to sit inside and edit. But we experienced something that we like to call the storm. So we will get into everything involving the storm in the next couple weeks once everything gets kind of cleared up. But let's just say that we had to take pretty much all of our belongings and shove it inside the boat, which means inside the salon, inside the V-berth. Can't work on that anymore until this all gets situated. So basically Matt and I have been resigned back to working in the master head and the aft berth doing fairing, which is like all we can do now until this gets fixed. And we know that you don't want to see that anymore, so we will just be busy doing that, and hopefully we can bring you more information regarding everything else in the next week or two.
Japan.